some prisons are built to hold men. ADX Florence was built to erase them. High in the Colorado desert, surrounded by mountains and the wind's endless howl, sits a fortress no one escapes. Concrete thicker than memory, doors heavier than regret. They call it the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Its purpose, to bury the most dangerous minds in absolute silence. On a gray February morning in 1998, the convoy arrived. Armored vehicles rolled through the checkpoint, soldiers on alert, rifles raised. Inside, chained hand and foot, was Ramzi Yousef, the architect of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. To the world, he was the face of terror. To the Bureau of Prisons, he was just inmate 03911-000. The escort officers avoided his eyes. They'd been briefed, no conversation, no sympathy. ADX was not a place of punishment, it was a place of disappearance. Yousef was led into D-Unit, the most secure corridor in America. His new home was cell D14, a window slit too narrow to see the sun, a bed carved from concrete, a steel toilet that echoed when he breathed too close. 23 hours a day alone. 1 hour in a cage. That was his life now. In those early days, guards noted how still he was. He didn't pace, didn't shout, didn't beg. He listened, to the hum of the fluorescent light, to the vibration of footsteps 3 cells away, to the faint tap of metal against concrete somewhere in the vent. That tapping became a rumor. Morse-like bursts, always between midnight and 2. At first, staff thought it was plumbing. Then they realized, the pattern repeated. Someone was speaking in code. They searched his cell. Nothing. No wire, no tools, no contraband. Yet the sounds continued, weaving through the air ducts like whispers. Inmates on the tier claimed they could feel it more than hear it, messages pulsing through the walls. Yousef never spoke to them directly, but sometimes his eyes followed the guards with surgical precision, as if memorizing their routes. He wrote letters filled with numbers and phrases in Arabic and English, each one screened and redacted before it ever left the compound. One letter contained nothing but a page of coordinates and equations. The FBI took it away. No one explained what it meant. Outside, the world had moved on. The Twin Towers still stood. New threats were rising. But inside Florence, Yousef remained frozen in 8 by 10 feet of solitude, plotting, perhaps dreaming, perhaps unraveling. One night, the power flickered across the unit for exactly 4 minutes. When the cameras rebooted, all appeared normal, except for the motion sensor in cell D14. It read 0. No movement. Officer Graham was the first to notice. He radioed it in, his voice low. The response team assembled, shields ready, every move captured on grainy black and white monitors. They unlocked the door. The cell light glowed pale and steady. The bed was occupied. But something about the air was wrong, heavy, electric, charged with a stillness that felt alive. Yousef, a guard called. No response. They stepped closer. And when they saw what was waiting on that bed, what he'd done in the silence, nothing could have prepared them for it. Every prison has rules. But inside ADX Florence, the silence has its own. The official report from that night was short, almost suspiciously so. Inmate found unresponsive. No breach. No disturbance. But the men who entered cell D14 knew the story wasn't that simple. What they found wasn't violence. It was design. Ramzi Yousef was sitting upright when they entered, his eyes open, unblinking, focused on the far wall. In front of him, scratched faintly into the concrete, were a series of geometric symbols, rows of triangles, numbers, and mirrored letters. He didn't resist. He didn't speak. When the officers cuffed him, his pulse was steady. Psychiatric staff were brought in to assess him. Early signs of isolation psychosis, one of them noted. But his patterns suggest deliberate cognition, not decay. Translation: he wasn't losing his mind. He was working on something. For weeks after, the prison went on high alert. His cell was stripped bare, no pencil, no paper, not even a mattress for 48 hours. But the marks returned. New ones appeared under the paint, as if etched from memory. Guards began to whisper that he was writing in the dark, using his fingernails against the walls. In the control center, the wardens debated. If Yousef was communicating, with whom? The layout of ADX made that impossible, or so they thought. Every cell was sealed off by solid concrete. No talking, no line of sight, no air exchange that could carry words. But when engineers checked the ventilation grid, they found something chilling, tiny dents along the inner shaft, perfectly spaced. Like coded tapping points. The same rhythm Officer Graham had reported months earlier. When they played back recordings from the night shift microphones, normally white noise, they caught faint sounds layered into the static. A rhythm. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Someone was answering. The order came from Washington: shut it down. Seal the unit. Restrict all movement. But you can't seal silence. You can only make it louder. Inmates began reporting strange dreams. One said he saw lights flickering through the vent like Morse signals. Another, in cell D18, claimed a voice whispered coordinates while he slept. Medical dismissed it as shared psychosis. But the pattern of complaints mirrored Yousef's cell line exactly. Meanwhile, inside the administrative offices, a young intelligence liaison named Agent Keller was assigned to analyze the wall markings. Keller had studied cryptography. He recognized fragments of mathematical formulas hidden in the scratches. Patterns that looked eerily like encrypted frequency tables. He traced them to a declassified code once used by insurgents in Pakistan. If Yousef had recreated that from memory, he wasn't just surviving isolation, he was weaponizing it. Keller pressed for more data. The Bureau refused. This is a prison, not a research lab, they said. But Keller couldn't shake the feeling that something beneath those walls was moving faster than they could control. 2 nights later, cell D14's internal camera failed again. Just static this time. For minutes, same as before. When the feed returned, Yousef was standing in the center of the room, staring directly into the lens. For the first time in years, he spoke. Only one sentence, his voice steady, deliberate. Tell them, it already began. Then he sat back down, eyes forward, silent once more. The Bureau scrubbed the footage. The guards were ordered never to discuss it. But in a place where every sound echoes forever, secrets don't stay buried for long. And as the months passed, those strange symbols began appearing in other cells, etched by men who'd never met, never spoken, never even seen each other. Something inside Florence was spreading. And no one could explain how. Inside ADX Florence, time doesn't pass, it collects. By late 2001, the name Ramzi Yousef had once again reached headlines, not because of a new crime, but because his old one had found an eerie echo. The world had changed. Towers had fallen. And now, the man who first tried to bring them down sat locked away in a concrete box, watching history repeat through the narrow slit of his memory. Inside the prison, tension thickened. Guards moved with rehearsed precision, each one aware that D-Unit had become something different, a place not of discipline, but of dread. The strange carvings hadn't stopped. They'd multiplied, spreading through the block like an infection. Triangular codes, mirror writing, coordinates scratched into bed frames, even burned into metal trays. The Bureau of Prisons launched an internal investigation codenamed Operation Static. Psychologists were flown in. Engineers mapped every vent, every pipe, every shadow that could carry a sound. Yet none could explain how isolated men, forbidden from contact, were somehow sharing the same hallucination. Only one theory made sense to Keller, the analyst who'd studied Yousef's codes months before. He believed the markings weren't messages, but instructions. A method of conditioning. A psychological contagion built on rhythm, repetition, and silence. He requested access to interview Yousef directly. It was denied twice. On the third attempt, after citing national security urgency, approval came. But it came with a warning: you have 15 minutes. No physical objects. No eye contact longer than 5 seconds. They led Keller through 5 steel gates, each door closing behind the other until the sound of freedom was gone. He entered the observation chamber, separated from cell D14 by a pane of reinforced glass. Yousef was there, thinner, paler, but eerily calm. His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "You wanted to see the code," Yousef said quietly, before Keller could even speak. "Now you're part of it." Keller froze. The inmate's voice was steady, almost hypnotic. "You think this place isolates us? It connects us. The silence carries patterns. Vibrations. You can't stop it, because it's already inside you." Before Keller could respond, Yousef pressed his fingertips against the wall, slow, rhythmic taps, like a heartbeat. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. The same pattern from the old recordings. The sound vibrated through the chamber. The guards pulled Keller out seconds later. He was shaking. Within a week, he requested reassignment. Within a month, he resigned. He never spoke publicly about what he heard in that room, but a memo surfaced years later, heavily redacted. One line remained intact: "The sound continues in the absence of source." By 2005, ADX Florence had quietly upgraded all of D-Unit's cells. Reinforced walls. Sealed ventilation shafts. New surveillance with no blind spots. The codes stopped appearing. The tapping ceased. The silence returned. But some guards swore it was only hiding. That if you stood alone on the night shift and listened closely, beneath the hum of the lights, you could still hear it, faint, deliberate, pulsing from somewhere deep below D-Unit. Today, Ramzi Yousef still sits in that same cell. 2 decades gone. No communication, no contact, no voice left to answer him. But in a place where time stands still, the echoes of what he started seem endless. ADX Florence was designed to break men, yet somehow, the man inside cell D14 became its most enduring ghost. And if you ever visit that stretch of Colorado desert, and feel the wind slide through the razor wire fences, you might swear you hear it too: the rhythm, the pulse, the reminder that silence in ADX is never truly empty. If you think this story was intense, the next one will leave you speechless. Subscribe for more true crime stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat.